Warm welcome to everybody on the ELC LDX. My name is Carl Shaw. I'm the new bass leader for YWAM Heidebeek, and I'm here with Stefan Prium, who is the former bass leader of YWAM Heidebeek. And we've been asked to talk today about healthy leadership transitions. So we've just had, in September 2024, had our bass leadership transition, which I think has gone very well. But Stefan, why don't you share a little bit how you saw it come in, how did it work out, what are some tips or tricks that you have for other bases around Europe?
Yeah, thanks. It was a longer process, of course, which often, especially bass leaders transitions, are quite lengthy, I would say. And you got to start in time. So I still remember our transition when we became bass leaders. That was we've been bass leaders for a little more over 9 years. And our transition was quite chaotic, with lots of things there. We don't need to go into that, all the details. But from the start, we said, like Willem-Jan, my co-leader, and I, we said, like, we want to have, whenever we transition, we want to have a good transition. So that we were already intentionally also looking always like, hey, who could take over? You know, who could we pick? You know, when we. If he would hand over once. And I still remember, I think it was William-Jan already dropped a message that was already longer ago, like hey, I'm not gonna do it too long anymore. So I was already aware, like, all right, he is gonna step out. And I was always thinking, yeah, should I continue then by myself? Should I also stop, or should somebody else come alongside of me, and then whenever I transition out, then somebody else takes over my role again? So and last year Willem-Jan said, hey, in the summer, or I'm gonna stop, like max, that's it. And first I thought, like, you know, maybe I should go on for one more year when he stops, and then one of the guys, one of you, because you're doing it now better, so also two roles. Maybe one of you could take over Willem-Jan's role, and then I stay, you know, for one more year or maybe 2 more years, and then the other one takes over my role again. And I still remember that we were like Willem-Jan and I were talking, like, oh, is that the best way or not? And we already, first we had better in mind, you know, and then we already asked better ones, you know, like, hey, could a role as a bass leader, could that be something for you? You know, would that be a fit? And because we could see you doing it, you know, and we were talking, and I still remember that better said to me, Stefan, if I'm leader next to you as a co-leader, I will never really be bass leader because you're always still there, and I've got quite a strong personality.
Yeah, we know that. I think the whole of Europe knows that.
Then I thought, he's right, and from that moment on, I realized, and it became slowly but surely, but I realized, you know, if Willem-Jan stops, I think I should also stop.
And how long were you guys bass leaders for at that point?
Well, we were in total 9 years and 2 months leading the bass. So at that point it was 8 years and something. And because I do think also, and that's maybe good, I think, well, we'll come to that, like the terms of a bass leader, how long is healthy. But like, but at least I still remember, like, hey, that we need to. Then I also need to stop, you know, when Willem-Jan stops. And we've always done everything together, so why would I continue for one more year? But we were, I was not sick and tired of it or so. That was not, I was not fed up. So that's not the reason I stopped. It's more out of conviction, where I felt like, hey, you know, you could also become a little bit the lid of a location or organization, and as leader. And I think there's a minimum of years you should commit to, but I think there's also maybe a time where it's good to hand over, you know. So I'm not saying that should be always 9 years or so, can be more, but like I do think that at certain time you should hand over in time, at least. So in a certain time, you came also to we had a leadership team retreat. Remember,
Yeah.
because Carl and Berre were already part of a leadership team. So that's good. And you came to us, and I still remember that like very well. I thought it was beautiful, because we assumed, because you were always there from the beginning with us in our leadership team, we assumed, when we stop, Carl would stop. That was our assumption, because you were also there 9 years. And you came to us and you said, guys, I believe that like I'm not done, and I believe that I can serve in another leadership team, or even as a base leader. And all of a sudden for us it was like, but that would be great, Why couldn't we place Carl next to Berre, and they would serve very well as co-leaders together? And you guys led communications team before here as well, so we knew you would do that very well. So and from that moment on, the ball started rolling, and we're still thinking first, should we ask even the third person there or not, or at least delegate some jobs, because the practical side was both not necessarily you guys' strength, and I think that's also we managed to do that very well. So but that's a little bit our story, but maybe you could also tell your side of the story.
Yeah, I think from my side, of course, on Heidebeek we have shared leadership in the base leadership team. So Stefan and YWAM have executed that role, but we saw that the shared leadership role was working very well. I think on Heidebeek, that as a base leader, the buck didn't have to stop on you or at you, and just one person carrying all the expectation and the weight of that. But being able to share that responsibility, being able to carry leadership together was a beautiful thing, and you could really see gifts that complemented one another. So I think being in that leadership team and knowing, first of all, YWAM and Stefan always having a commitment to having a healthy transition of leadership when the time was right, I think is the first thing that you guys carried. So it was never sitting still on we're the base leaders and this is where we're going, but always still thinking, how can we raise up new leaders, whether that be for ministries, whether that be for schools. And in the end, that question also was asked when they started talking about as a base for the leadership team. I think the other thing is looking which people could lead who have some experience, but also can work well together. That you want to, I think, from the beginning, before I was even on the picture, it was really looking from that side. How can we set up whoever is the next base leader or base leaders to be successful in what they do? And I think another side is recognizing the season there is. We had a season of building here at the base. We had a season of becoming more financially healthy as a base, and then seeing, okay, there's a new season coming. We'll have the Send here in the Netherlands. We'll have, but everything is prepared for seeing new young people coming in. So is this also the season for new base leadership? And I think, as we went on that journey,
that's a very good point, because I believe that as a base leader, at a certain time, after a certain amount of years, you can go into a kind of an autopilot. You know how the game is going. You know how the ball rolls. And that is like, and you need to be a little bit, not too much, but a little bit uncomfortable. Like that you always need the need of God in it, basically. The God, like, we can't do this. I mean, like, I was also super young when I became base leader. I definitely needed God, and we also made lots of mistakes. But like at a certain time, you grow so comfortable, and especially when you get a new season and also even new projects in your like the Send or so in your nation, you want to be sharp on the edge of it,
Yeah.
So go on. Sorry.
No, I think that's really good to add. And then I think the next thing is like, so you're going on this journey. I think also something that's very healthy with for a leadership transition is this transition is not done in isolation.
Yeah.
It's not that Stefan and YWAM go into their office and they spend their time. They come out and they say, hey, this is who we appoint. But they really having a time of hearing God. I think privately is a part, but also corporately, bringing that into the leadership team first off. We have a leadership team of 8, so the question came there: is this guy what you guys are also sensing? but we also have elders. We have people, Dick Brouwers here. He's been, he's one of our main leaders, I think, in YWAM Europe. But he's also one of our elders here on base. We have Ed Sherman. He carries a lot of rich YWAM history and legacy. They're our elders, and it's a privilege for us to have them. But it's also a great place where we can sound. We can use as a sounding block for, without me and Better being there.
Do the elders, maybe good to know, do the elders have an advice and do they pray along, or do they also really have a vote?
Yeah, in our context, the elders don't have a vote. We really ask them to come in, and it's really that prayerful side.
And by the way, not that we choose by voting, but more like,
Some meetings we do decide by voting, but
very rarely, but okay.
Yeah. No, but our elders are really there to be a sounding board, and also they carry us as leaders in prayer. They're people who can come to us and say, hey, we see this happening in the community, or you've said this, and we're open for feedback, we're open for accountability, also in leadership transition. I think that's important to say. So this type of transition doesn't happen in isolation.
There's also the national leadership still. We have a very national structure, with clear national leadership, which I think is a huge blessing to us as YWAM in the Netherlands. They're also thinking along, and because in the end, there's also still even a board, who carries legal responsibility. Yeah. So they all got to be taken along.
Exactly, they're all taken along, and also prayerfully taken along.
Yeah,
I think that's important to say. So it's never just a rush through of, okay, we want transition and done.
Yeah.
Also, I think what made our leadership transition healthy was we took time. So it wasn't one day to the next that we had new leaders in place, but we recognized this is the season we're in, and then Stefan and Willem took us along. Because honestly, when you're in a leadership team, you know a lot of what's happening on the base. But when you're a base leader, there's a lot of other things that come with it. There's the legal side that comes with it. There are things that does not need to be in the whole community. There's information that goes around. There's some history things that need to happen. Well, to be taken along into that, to know actually what are you saying yes to. We took about a year, 9 months, something like that.
Yeah, about. I think from when we really know it was you and Better, when we knew it, it was around Christmas. And then after, in September, we did the official handover, but we were still very available and still even today available, but more on the active coaching role, in the more active in the month right after, still, and then certain time it's less and less needed, but we still talk,
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful thing, that it's just healthy in that sense. One thing I said to Stefan when we were just prepping for this is, you need to have trust. I think trust from the previous leaders to say we're releasing this base that we've taken care of for these 9 years, that we've seen improve and we've seen grow in vision. We're entrusting it to you, Stefan and Carl, as new leaders. But also for us as new leaders, there's a trust part of saying we know that you're there with us, but we also trust that we've now received the tools we need to start walking this journey now to move our community to the next level. And with that, I would say you also need to also avoid pride as a new leader when situations come up that you don't know the answer to. Are you willing to still go to the former leader and say, hey, I actually do need advice, I actually do need some help now, can you at least just share with me what you would have done? Doesn't mean that you have to do what their decision would have been, but let's not be stupid, let's not be arrogant. You can really learn lessons from the past, and that can move you well into the future. So I think that's important tools, I think.
And I think for former leaders, it's also very important that you're available, that you have a good tension and healthy tension about being available, but also really letting go. So for sure not take over, that is of course that is very clear. But I think even before, when we did official transition already, like you guys were in our office, you know, we talked about how does this work, how does that work. So the handing over, that is really time that costs time, you know. But like maybe still what we didn't mention is what is the role of a community in this, because we have a larger community. Not everybody has a large community, so and I do think depending on the size of the community, the community can also have an active voice in it. You know, it's impossible to do everybody's wish here. Yeah. You know, like because then we would have 100 leaders probably.
Or Jesus.
Oh, Jesus! Yeah, Jesus is always the good answer, right? So you won't find somebody perfect. That is very good. Like, and especially I think former leaders, they want the perfect person, or they want somebody who looks like themselves. You know, I think that is also like very true. Often leaders looking for somebody who looks like themselves, but we should really learn to accept that. I had to learn to accept you guys are doing it your way with your giftings, which doesn't look the same as mine, and it doesn't need to look the same. Which I even think is very healthy for a base, because like a base also, you know, like, and they have to learn it as well. But like they also got to learn to have different type of leaderships even, and a community like this, some of those would thrive better even under you than under me, and some not. You know, that's okay. Yeah. You know, but not everybody can have what they want, and it's not also about what they want. It's about, hey, what is healthy, what is good for this location and for the next season for YWAM. Yeah, I think that is very important. Yeah. Like, are there more things to say? Last words, Carl?
No, I don't know. I think you know, the main points. I think go into it prayerfully. I think not holding on to leadership for leadership's sake is important.
Oh yeah, we will come back to the terms, right?
Oh yeah,
how long? That's true. Yeah, that's true. Like, well, how long did you have to commit? How long did we and also the national leadership ask you to commit for?
Yeah. So Bernd and I got asked to make a 5-year commitment, minimum. Yeah. And then we can renew our commitment. I think that's healthy. You know, the first year is just basically onboarding, and there are some things that you maybe want to start changing. Change doesn't come overnight. So I think the first year is just orientating and getting the community used to this new leadership way in the new season. Yep. And I think what we see here in the Netherlands is you don't hold on to it too long, and look for that season where new leadership can step up. Yeah.
And I do personally, I think like what is minimum is 5 years, I would say. That's my opinion, indeed. There is also, I think, a season where a leader, and especially I see this in YWAM happening more, where a leader really can become a lid of a location or so, and that at a certain time can become unhealthy. I do think that like if you're leading a base for say over 20 years. And of course, it's different per situation. I get it. Like a pioneering situations are very, you know, I get it. That's harder to transition. But like I think it is healthy, like that you don't lead on for too long. Like over 20 years would be, in my opinion, very long. You really become the lead, and even I would say like, maybe the maximum should be 15, but that's my personal opinion. It's just at certain time healthy when there's a transition. Yeah. So all right.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, the wind is picking up. I don't know if you're bothered by it by the sound, but we'll see. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.